What's going on, everybody? It's the Wise Guys podcast here for episode number 24, like Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. Rest in peace to the legend.
Absolutely.
I'm here with my boy, John Tortorelli.
By the way, I'm on the other side.
Yeah, no, I messed that up sometimes. I apologize. But from my perspective, John Tortorelli, Justin Ray, we're here to cover week 1 of the NFL football season. It is back. We're excited. We're pumped. We're ready to get this out for you. I know everybody's excited. We're finally getting football back in our lives. Week 1 is tonight, Thursday night, Rams versus Bills. So before we jump into the topics, how are you guys doing this morning? Are we doing good?
Doing solid. Woke up on the wrong side of the alarm per se, 30 minutes late, but I'm glad to be here now.
Happens.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm ready to talk some football. I've been waiting. What is it? It's been 207 days since the last football game. So
many Sundays. I know I always get this meme before the football season starts. The week before the last, I get the meme of I've shared it on Facebook of Kermit the Frog looking out the raining window, and he's like the last Sunday before football season without football. So we're gonna dive right into it. Topic number 1. The reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams, are taking on the prohibited favorites, the prohibited favorite MVP, the Buffalo Bills. They are playing in Los Angeles in that beautiful stadium. And I'm going to kick it to Mr. Buffalo bandwagon himself, the Patriots fan, but he's secretly kind of a Bills fan this year. Mr. Justin Ray, hit me with your thoughts on week 1, game 1.
okay, first off, I'm not a Bills fan. I'm not a bandwagon Bills fan. I'm just a big Josh Allen fan. But I'm stoked, man. I think we've been waiting for this moment all year, and we're finally here. This is game 1. And I've been preaching to the choir about how much I believe in Josh Allen and the Bills. Immediately, when you see your number 1 teams and your top 5 teams in the NFL, you have the Bills. We said the Rams are in ours. And immediately, these 2 Super Bowl contenders are being battle tested in week 1, right in front of millions of fans. I think Buffalo goes in there. I think Buffalo finds a way to squeeze out a win. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think we're going to see the stars shine. I think Josh is going to ball out. I think Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp are going to ball out. And it's going to come down to one big drive in the 4th quarter, and boom, NFL season is going to roll from there. I got Buffalo taking it tonight.
So I want to say before you go, John, I forgot to mention. So Buffalo is favored by 2.5 in LA. Usually the home team is given 3 points, but Buffalo, I think like months ago when the schedule was released, the Rams were favored by 1.5. Now Buffalo, the odds have obviously changed. The favor is going to Buffalo. They are favored by 2.5. But Justin, real quick before John goes, did you know, and does this change your mind? Tre'Davious White is starting out on the PUP list. He's going to miss the first 4 games.
Doesn't change my mind. They missed tons of games with him last season. They've had a whole training camp to prepare for this one game right here. They're more than prepared. And I stick by my stance.
Johnny boy.
That's a good call out because Jalen Ramsey, who had offseason surgery, will be playing on the other side. I got the Rams as well. I would, if I were old enough to bet, I would take that plus 2.5 for the Bills because I expect Josh Allen to have one of those games tonight. Obviously, against Aaron Donald, I think you have 2 of the 10 best players in football, maybe. I don't know, Josh Allen's not 10 player. But I think this is going to be an exciting match just because you have Buffalo looking for revenge. Even though they didn't get to play the Rams last year, they're scheduled to start this year as a bloodbath. And so to come out hot and beat the very team that won the Super Bowl, that would send an awesome message. Now, for the Rams, Van Jefferson is out, so Bo Skoranek is going to, odds are, come in and start in his place. We talked about the lack of depth of this Rams team, and Van Jefferson had some issues in the offseason. We were hoping, I think most people, that Van would take that next step up this season to go along with Allen Robinson as number 3. So hopefully he can get onto the field and he's ready to go. Because without him or Allen Robinson, they have literally no depth at wide receiver. Skoronek's a good blocker, but I mean, I think I saw him in the Super Bowl, and as a receiver, I wasn't really liking what I was seeing.
So This is the question I wanted to ask you guys because you guys didn't give them. Do you guys have any predictions for the final score of the game? I know Jesse, you said it's going to be a shootout. Um, what's your guys' final score predictions for this game?
I'm going to go 28-23, Buffalo's favor.
I'm going to go 36-34, Buffalo.
Buffalo. Okay. All right.
By the way, just a quick
go ahead.
nugget for you, since you threw out about
I love
Tre'Davious
nuggets.
White. The Rams, since Sean McVay has been head coach, have not lost an opening game.
And listen, this guy just taking the words right out of my mouth because I was about to hit you guys with the Rams are 19-3 in week 1 since 2000 and 5-0 under Sean McVay. McVay has actually never been under 500 as a head coach. So if he loses today, this will be the first time he has ever been under 500 in his career. I'm not betting against Sean McVay and these Los Angeles Rams, mostly because I'm not betting against Matthew Stafford, and mostly because, like I've said and like I said in our predictions episode, and I'm sticking to it, these Bills, and from what I've been looking at from last night and what I started to think about as I was falling asleep, thinking about this game and whatnot, these Bills are overrated and overhyped. Just 100%. And I'm going to go through the ways of why. So first off, for Justin, I guess Tre'Davious White being out is not the biggest factor. For me, it's a huge factor. Cooper Kupp is going to have a field day on those cornerbacks. Who's their second cornerback? Is it going to be their vet from like the round 3 of a couple of years ago that they drafted? I forgot his name.
First round pick, Tyler Elam.
Or is it going to be the first round pick they took from Florida, Elam? Either way, homeboys are getting cooked by Cooper Kupp because we all can agree he's the top 3 wide receiver in this league today. I think he's the best. And if you're telling me Matt Stafford has got to go against a secondary that is, and not a secondary in total, but the cornerbacks are weak. And now you've got Allen Robinson to deal with on the other side, a big body guy who's a red zone threat and can get those 50-50 balls. I know they have Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde in the secondary in their safety positions, and they're very good. But both of them are 31 years of age. And we know that cornerbacks and players in general in football, that early 30s range is usually where you start to tail off. Will this be the year that they start to tail off? We will see. Now, let me attack the front 7 of Buffalo's defense. Edmonds is good. Matt Milano is a good linebacker. Shaq Lawson has been he has underperformed every year that he's been in the league, to be honest with you. And Von Miller, they're huge free agent signing Von Miller. That apparently Von Miller made these guys Super Bowl favorites, but
he is coming to a top 3 defense last season, so he's adding to that one.
And I'm going to get to that. Thank you for bringing that up. Top 3 defense for last year. I'm going to get to that. Von Miller last seen in Denver was underperforming, and he was showing his age. Goes to LA, gets to play next to Aaron Donald, consensus best player in the NFL, and some people think is arguably the best player in the NFL to ever defensive player ever to play in this game. Some people think he's the best player in the NFL today. That's crazy, but some people think that. And they had Leonard Floyd too on the other side. He doesn't have those guys anymore, especially Aaron Donald. I want to focus on him because he gets double teamed and sometimes he even gets triple teamed. Von Miller doesn't have that safety blanket anymore where he's going to get those one-on-one matchups. He's going to be the vocal point of the offensive line. They're going to focus on him now. Can he still show what we know he was, which is a Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame bound? We'll see. Now, what John said about that top 3 defense last year, right? I just want to go through this because this just was awesome that I saw this, right? In 2021, the Buffalo Bills, 7 of their 11 wins were against teams below 500. Okay? 2 of their other 11 wins were against Miami, and we know Miami was trash last year. Miami was 9-8 last year. They had 1 good win over Kansas City, and they beat our New England Patriots, Justin, obviously, in the later in the season. They lost to the Tennessee Titans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Indianapolis, New England in that crazy game where they again refuse to run the football in conditions that are perfect for running the football. They refuse to run it again. Tampa Bay and the Jacksonville Jaguars that we all know were trash last year. Those numbers to me for their defense last year somewhat inflated from their schedule. It is about level of competition. I think their level of competition this year is going to be harder. We're going to see how they do. Again, I've always stated, I don't understand how 2 years ago, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills as a team had a better overall season than last year, but people are now crowning them the Super Bowl champions when Josh Allen had a down year. The Bills had a down year in terms of record in the regular season and how far they got in the playoffs. They didn't even make it to the AFC Championship game. Their defense, that's top 3 last year, John said, was torn to shreds by the Kansas City offense. And we saw how the Cincinnati Bengals defense that we have concerns about played against that Kansas City offense the week after. I don't trust this Buffalo Bills team. I'm going to put my faith in Matthew Stafford. I'm going to put my faith in Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, Allen Robinson. The offensive line of the Rams, while is weak, Pro Football Focus ranks them 11th in the NFL.
I wouldn't be so confident in that.
That's fine. That's what they're ranking. And you know what? I have faith. You don't have faith Sean McVay can figure out the offensive line, as you said in our predictions episode. I have faith that he can figure it out, and they will figure it out. So, to me, final score of this game, I have it close. I have it 27-21 Los Angeles Rams. But I just see this Buffalo Bills team as when everybody's picking you to be the Super Bowl favorite, pause for cause.
Real quick, Brand. First off, did you say it was crazy to have Aaron Donald as the best player in the NFL?
No, I said it was. Oh, yeah, as the overall best player in the NFL. Yes.
Justin, I don't think that's crazy at all. I think, bar none, Aaron Donald is the best
No,
player
if you
in the
don't
whole
have a
league.
quarterback as your best player in the NFL, then your argument is null and void.
I don't think so. I think a defensive player can be the best player in the NFL. I mean, Aaron Donald alone impacts the game in so many different ways that one person on a defense makes a huge difference. You pull him from the Rams defense today, and I guarantee you're not talking about this game the same way.
Yeah, that entire front seven would be
Yeah, but
completely
who are we
lost.
replacing him with? Are we putting in some average Joe? Or are we putting
A
in an elite
replacement level
defensive
nose
player?
tackle.
You want to put him with who are you replacing him with?
If you're plugging in an average defensive tackle,
And obviously, if you plug in an average Joe, the defense is going to get worse. But if you give me another elite defender, they're going to be fine. They won't be what they are, but they'll be fine.
but there's no other defensive tackle anywhere near as elite as Aaron Donald. So even if you plugged in a
true
star
defensive tackle.
DT,
He gets moved around a lot.
Which adds to his versatility. I mean,
yes.
First off, you just look at his accomplishments. 3 defensive player of the years in 8 seasons. And more often than not, he's
You
just
guys
top 3 in
realize
that
you're
race.
making an argument that the Rams should be favored in this game if they have the
I just
best
wanna
player
clear
in
up.
the NFL.
I just want to clear up. It's not crazy to have him as the best player because he is, and I think it's pretty clear.
That's a disagreement that we have. I truly believe that quarterbacks should be valued and should be the best player in the NFL because their most important position. You guys think otherwise, but again, you guys.
Aaron Donald's cut from a different cloth.
Road, you're making my argument again why the Rams should be favored and why they should win. If they have the best player in the NFL, they have the best cornerback in the NFL, they have one of the best linebackers in the NFL, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
I don't know if Bobby Wagner's
that means absolutely nothing, and I'll tell you why. Because teams have lost with the greatest team on paper. It's happened. Remember the dream team in Philadelphia? You can go into a season, you can go in looking great, you could lose. Our Patriots, 18-0, had elite players all around, still find a way to lose. It doesn't really matter. It really is any given Sunday, whoever brings it the most. And I'm really going to roll with Buffalo. I believe Ed Oliver is a stud. He's a stud. So if we're talking about good DTs, well, yeah, he's not on the level of Aaron Donald, but he's a playmaker. He can make a difference. And Matthew Stafford isn't really running out of the pocket. He's not going to rush for 40, 50 yards like Josh Allen. There's no design QB runs coming there. So he's a sitting duck for Von Miller and Ed Oliver. He is. He's a pocket passer.
He can roll out though and move
Yeah,
his
but
arm.
that
But what I'm
doesn't
saying
mean
is
like
they're not running no design QB runs for the guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
They
they're
can apply
smart.
pressure. The Rams O-line is not the same. It is not the same.
Listen, I'm just looking at this. A highly regarded website for football, Pro Football Focus, ranks the Rams O-line coming in the season 11th. They rate the Bills O-line 20th. And I've heard John, even though how highly he spoke of the Bills coming up, his one concern, and he knows this, has always been shaky O-line. He said it every time he's talked about the Bills. The greatness, but his one drawback was that shaky O-line. Well, you got Mr. Aaron Donald, who you guys believe is the best player in the NFL. You got Leonard Floyd coming at you. You got Bobby Wagner, who can, huh?
I didn't say he was the best. I'm saying that he can be a defensive
Okay.
player.
Well, John is saying he's the best player in the NFL, I guess then. But you're telling me shaky O-line and Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Bobby Wagner.
I think it's a shaky running game. The offensive line is nothing to write home about, but it's an average offensive line. With Mitch Morse at center, they made some additions this offseason. It's fine. I just wanted to say before, and also Tre'Davious White didn't play in that Chiefs game. That's a top 5 corner in the league. And now you add Von Miller to that group, a guy who can get pressure just on one-on-one opportunities. This Bills defense should be better by midseason. And yeah, not having Trey White is a huge issue against Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. But overall, I'm not really holding any reservations about this being a top 5 defense yet again this season.
I don't know. I think I've gone on record. I think these Bills are overhyped and overrated, and I think by season's end, you guys will understand where I've been coming from this entire time.
Who has the better offensive group? If we were to go tail
The
to tail,
Rams,
quarterback, Josh Allen or Matt?
Josh Allen.
Okay. Running back, Devin Singletary, Cam Akers.
I'm taking the Rams room.
Okay.
yeah, but
Wide
they're
receiver,
both not very. Yeah,
lineup,
Rams.
Stephon Diggs, Cup, Gabriel
Rams.
Davis, Allen Robinson.
I'm taking the Bills room. No, and I
And
can't.
here's another thing that
Think about
everybody
that.
seems
Think
to
about
forget. That
I can't.
here's something that everybody seems to forget about the Bills. Another key player that they lost, that they let go to free agency. Cole Beasley's gone.
But they can replace that with Isaiah McKenzie.
Jamison Crowder, I think, is better than Cole Beasley.
Okay, see, now
They
I
have
don't
guys who
believe
can step
that
in.
because I think Cole Beasley is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL.
But he wasn't last year.
You can't take away somebody who's got the veteran experience of a Cole Beasley who knows all the tricks of the trades. You can't teach that overnight. I'm not saying it's going to be a significant loss. I'm saying it's a loss. He's a good player to have on your team. I'm taking the Rams receiving room. Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, who's a very good number 2, basically. He's a number 1, but he's a number 2 on the Rams. I'll take that group, especially with Sean McVay, who's an offensive genius.
I gotta ask you guys: is Allen Robinson gonna go over 1,000 yards this season?
Yeah.
If healthy, I'll say yeah.
I'm just, you know how I feel about. I don't say if healthy. If somebody gets injured, they get injured. But I don't. I'm projecting that they play the whole seasons. Obviously, Matthew Stafford's a pass-heavy quarterback. Sean McVay's a pass-heavy offensive coordinator, head coach. Matt Stafford throws the ball 550 plus times, 600 times a year. He loves to force feed his receivers. We saw what he just did with Cooper Kupp. He's had career years with Megatron. Allen Robinson's going to get his fair share.
And you can draw the parallels with all of those receivers because Allen Robinson's best quarterback was, I guess, Mitch Trubisky in 2019. Him deciding to go to the Bears over the Packers might have been one of the most strange moves because that killed him in Chicago. He still had 1,100 yards in 2019, 1,250 in 2020. This last year, he had only 400 in part because there's a terrible offense he was on, but also he was trying to get paid and he wasn't being set up to do so. Didn't want to get injured. So, I mean, finally getting not only a good quarterback, but a top 10 one. I would have him at number 7 or 8. I do think Allen Robinson this year is going to remind people he's a top 15 receiver in the league. So I'm going to go with the Rams receiver room. Tight end, I guess I'll go with Dawson Knox. And then offensive line, I think they're pretty comparable.
So, so we've all given our final scores. I believe 27-21 Rams. I think the Rams, if you got the money, throw the money down on the Rams because I think getting that plus money is is big time.
Do you guys have a anytime touchdown scorer? I always love those bets on FanDuel and all these other apps.
I think you can
Try
almost
to-
guarantee. I don't think you can go wrong with either Allen Robinson or Cooper Kupp scoring a touchdown in this game. It just, especially with Tre'Davious White gone, it's just,
I'm going with Jamison Crowder. I think he finds the end zone.
it's a little bit of a woo. But anybody
Transition to
got
game
any?
2.
Yeah, let's jump in. So that was the Rams Bills. Do you want to? So John, do you want to go in order, or do you want to talk about the next biggest game?
So at the next biggest game.
All right, let's talk about Sunday Night Football, baby. I love that intro when it comes up every year. It's freaking awesome. We have the GOAT of GOATs, my quarterback, Tom Brady, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facing off against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, in Dallas. Really Arlington, but we'll call it Dallas for those Dallas Cowboys fans. Tampa Bay is favored by 1.5 points. We saw this game last year in week 1. We saw Dak Prescott was coming off that insanely gruesome injury. He played incredible. The Dallas Cowboys showed the hell up that game. I think the last drive was basically to win the game, and they just couldn't get it done. I think they showed a lot of people their toughness and grit last year. I think the Cowboys while I have lost a lot due to injury and free agency and trade, I still think that they are the best team in the East, the NFC East, I should say. So let's kick it to John. Well, how you feeling about these Tampa Bay Buccaneers and this Dallas Cowboys game, Sunday Night Football? Who are you leading to?
Well, first off, last year Dak threw 58 passes against the Cowboys, which is
I
just
mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
like Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
work
yeah.
on that. 58 is just an insane number. So I had the Buccaneers winning this one. I do think this is a top 3 defense. I know it may seem like I'm throwing that around loosely because I said the Bills before it'd be top 5, but with Todd Bowles, the dude is a defensive mastermind. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think he's going to come in and be at least an average head coach. He can be one of the league's better coaches, and he can prove that this season with Tom Brady. Because the last time he was coaching his quarterback was Sam Darnold. But I'm also really excited to see Julio Jones with a bigger role this week because Chris Godwin shouldn't be playing. I haven't checked it. Is he out? I'll check in a moment. But there's going to be added opportunity for Julio this year. And the one thing is they're trying to keep him healthy. And so I think he's going to be on a snap count throughout this season. And these first few weeks where Chris Godwin's coming back from his torn ACL will be an opportunity for Julio to shine, along with Russell Gage, who will be starting, I think, as the number 2 opposed to the number 3. And when I look at the Cowboys, man, I know a lot of people are penciling this in as a playoff team. I just don't see it. Sure, there's a lot of young talent there. You look at CD, Micah Parsons, Trayvon, and Dak is a good quarterback, not a whole lot more. But when you get Brady versus Dak, every single time I'm putting my faith in Tampa Bay. And so I have them winning. Last time it was 31-29. I had them winning this one 31-28.
Justin, talk to me, Goose.
So I look at the Dallas Cowboys and I just look at a team that at least going into week 1 doesn't have the firepower. Expecting Michael Gallup to be out. We don't know exactly what we're going to see out of Zeke and this backfield. I would like to say and give Zeke a break and say last season he was dealing with some injuries and all that. So I want to say that we're going to see a Pro Bowl version of Zeke again, but we're just too unsure. So I'm not going to jump the gun and say, yeah, I think this is going to be a beatdown. I don't think the Cowboys ever show up when it really matters. And this is a big prove it game. Last year, I was even surprised that they stuck in that game with the Buccaneers. And this week, I think this is a great time to get Stephen A. Smith fired up. And Tom Brady's going to roll into Dallas and beat the daylights out of this Cowboys team. I got the Buccaneers winning 34-17.
Wow, not even close. Okay. Just to start off, did either of you guys see the NFL Network's predictions for the Super Bowl this year? And Michael Irvin believes the Cowboys are going to make the Super Bowl.
Oh
Of course
gosh.
he does.
And he picked Kirk Cousins to be the MVP this year. Yeah. Yep, he did that.
Kirk could be a sleeper for offensive rookie of the year, maybe. I think Kirk will have a career season, but I'm not going that far.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a little too far. But so I got this thing on Instagram posted by the NFL Network, and I just want to read milestones to watch this season, right? Tom Brady is at 97,569 yards. He needs 2,431 passing yards to become the first player in NFL history with 100,000 plus career passing yards, including the playoffs. I believe he easily gets that this year. Mike Evans, 9 consecutive seasons of 1,000 plus yards. He needs 1,000 plus yards receiving yards to tie Hall of Famer Tim Brown for the second longest streak of seasons with 1,000 plus receiving yards in NFL history. Jerry Rice holds the record with 11 consecutive. So a little milestones to watch out for this season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I look at this game, I don't think it's going to be that much of a blowout like Justin thinks, or kind of a blowout, but not very close is what he's getting at. I think it's going to be closer. I think week one, I've always said, is a toss-up game. I'm not going to pick the Cowboys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning this game. I do think it's going to be close, a la last year. I think Tom Brady is perfectly fine. Anybody who has concerns with Tom Brady can shove it because they don't know what they're talking about. I'm never betting against that man. I think he's going to have the O-line ready. I think the O-line will be fine. He's already firing them up, showing them all the hate naysayers, what they're saying about them. He's showing them all and trying to give them motivation, which is how Tom Brady keeps his motivation going after 20 plus years. He doesn't listen live, but he hears everything that everybody says. I mean, we saw the diss tape that he put out after he won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody who said every negative thing about him for that entire year leading up, from Shannon Sharp to Max Kellerman to all the eggheads that didn't believe in Tom Brady. You got egg on your face at the end of the day. So actually, what I have written down, because I took these notes, I think 2 days ago, Godwin is, I think, on track to actually play. He's finally practicing without a knee brace. So I think he's on track to play. I don't think it's been announced officially if he will play. Probably a game time decision if I had to guess. I expect, like John, I expect Julio to have a big game this week one. I think Mike Evans is going to have a little bit of a hands full with Trayvon Diggs. Last year, Mike Evans didn't really do that well against the Cowboys. I think he had like 2 or 3 catches and didn't really make an impact. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Godwin was the one who balled out last year. And AB, if I'm not mistaken, had a good game too, but we don't need to talk about that egghead either. With the defense, or actually, sorry, the offensive line, right? Tristan Wirfs versus Micah Parsons is going to be a pretty damn good matchup to watch. If you liken yourself to a guy who likes to watch the offensive defensive line, that's going to be an interesting matchup. I see John smiling and nod his head over there. He's like, yeah, I'm excited for that. And on the Dallas Cowboys side, Tyron Smith is out. First round pick Tyler Smith is in. He's starting at left tackle. I don't think Jason Peters is going to be ready for week one. Tyler Smith is getting that start week one. And Shaq Barrett, I mean, what an introduction to the NFL. Am I right? Shaq Barrett's he might take this kid's lunch money. Like John said about the Bucs run defense and why Dak Prescott had to throw it so much last year. The Bucs run defense since 2019 has been top of the food chain. In 2019, number 1 in the league, allowing 73.8 yards per game. 2020, number 1 in the league, allowing 80.6 yards per game. 2021, number 3 in the league with 92.5 yards per game. Stout. Still got Todd Bowles calling those defensive plays. Still got Devin White in the linebacking room. Still got Shaq Barrett.
And the man himself, Vita Vea. Best nose tackle in the league.
We got Vita Vea, who John just gave his stamp of approval as the best nose tackle in the NFL. He is big time. They did lose Ndamukong Suh, who you can't replicate his impact JPP's gone, and Jordan Whitehead is also gone, who is a good run stopper and hard hitter in the secondary. But they did draft Logan Hall, defensive tackle, in the I forget where it was, in the second round or in the first round, whatever. He's out of Houston. This man is a big boy. He's 6'6", 285, but he runs a 4.88 for that size. That big man can move. All right. I expect that the defense is going to be fine, especially that defensive line with Todd Bowles calling the plays. The secondary is healthy this year. Todd Bowles gets his players back. Like John, I believe in Todd Bowles. John said before, if you can win 10 games with those New York Jets, you have my approval. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. The Jets suck. Todd Bowles was able to get them a winning record. I think, listen, Tom Brady is going to handle the offense with Brian Leftwich, obviously, helping out a little bit, but it's mostly going to be Brady, let's be honest. And Todd Bowles is going to have his full focus on the defense. That's what it's going to be. Bruce Arians might have been getting in the way a little bit with Tom. We saw how it started that when he first came to Tampa, those 8 weeks wasn't very good start. Bruce Arians really wanted, that biscuit offense. Tom's like, bruh, methodically work your way down the field. Take time off the clock. Keep the ball out of the offense's hands. I've won 6 Super Bowls. I know what I'm doing. We saw it pan out after the bye week and how they put it all together. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't really have a score. I expect it to probably be in the 20s. I could see it being like 28-24 Tampa Bay, something around there.
And real quick, the Cowboys not only missing Michael Gallup, but also James Washington they brought in with a fractured foot. He's going to miss the first month or so.
Yep, they're putting all their eggs in the CD basket, and CD has to, like I said when we broke down the NFC East, time to become a number 1 receiver. Time to have 100+ receptions, 13+ 100 yards, 7 to 8+ touchdowns. It's time to be that number 1. Those drops need to come down.
I think one of my favorite things going into this game is getting to see Julio Jones play with Tom Brady. Over the last 2 years, Julio obviously had injuries with Tennessee, but finished the year in uncharacteristically. Okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna try. So he ended the season with 434 receiving yards. That's so unlike Julio Jones. The year before that, 771 receiving yards. That's not the Julio we all know and love. I expect him. I'm not saying this guy's going to be the true number 1 that we all saw him to be. There's so many mouths to feed on this offense, but I'm expecting Julio Jones to be a monster again. He's going to eat. Tom Brady's going to feed him, and I'm so pumped to finally see that. He's playing with the greatest of all time. Julio's one of the greatest receivers of our generation. So to pair him up with the greatest quarterback of all time, laser show.
Like you said, Justin, a lot of mouths to feed on this offense, but Tom Brady's probably the greatest feeder of all time. He's going to get you. Listen, we saw last year how AB threw his little tantrum because he didn't think he was going to get his incentives. Tom Brady will get you your incentives towards the end of the season. I do expect Julio to have a huge game this week, and I think he's going to be big for Tom Brady. I think they're going to have a great connection. Julio's playing in a nice warm weather city, not this week, but for the 8 weeks that they do get to play in Tampa. Maybe the TB12 method. He's taking some advice from Tom and Guerrero. Pliability, work those hamstrings, rub them, get the massages, use the foam roller, do all the good stuff, and get ready for a nice long season. And hopefully Julio can take home a Super Bowl ring and be known as a Super Bowl champion for his career, Hall of Fame career, I should say. So time to move on to the rest of the Sunday slate of games. All right. Kansas City, the Chiefs, home of my homeboy and Andy Reid, are taking on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Kansas City is favored by 4.5. I know John's not very high on the Cardinals. The Chiefs have lost some stuff. People have some concerns. John, tell me what you got.
I have the Chiefs blowing out the Cardinals today. I'll go. Justin, you had 34-17 for the Cowboys game. I'm going to go 37-21 here. This Cardinals defense is sketchy beyond belief. Of course, you lose Chandler Jones. And now this year, they're going to be expecting big-time things out of Isaiah Simmons. a player who coming out of the draft was looked at as like the most do-it-all linebacker, getting Brian Urlacher comparisons. So I'm excited to see what Isaiah Simmons can bring to them this year. But the fact of the matter is, when you have Patrick Mahomes and the best receiving tight end in the league, and I think the best receiver in Travis Kelsey, I'm expecting those two to have a big time game. Penciling Kelsey for 2 TDs. I even think Juju as well is going to find himself in the end zone. We'll give him 75, 7 or 8 catches. I think this year we're really going to see how vital and valuable Juju can be for an elite level quarterback that can extend the play. And most of all, man, I'm excited to see what Spagnuolo can do against Kyler Murray. If they can send the heat, I think this is one of the most underrated defenses. You have guys, you have names, you have the Frank Clarks who are good edge rushers. Of course, Chris Jones. You lose Tyrann Mathieu, but you bring in Justin Reed, who, truth be told, may be better than Tyron. Sure, he doesn't have the same name value. And then you have in the back end L'Jarius Sneed. Rashad Fenton is questionable for this game. I'm pumped up to see Kansas City this year. I mean, as is any year, the AFC West is theirs to lose, and I think they're going to come out and absolutely blow out Kyler and the Cardinals.
So before Justin, you go. So you said 37-21, John, I think. So this is just besides the spread of 4.5, which actually I think is moved up now. I think the Chiefs are favored by 6 points now. Yeah, -6 now, Chiefs. But the over under is 53.5 points. I will just say before I let Justin go, smash the over. Smash it. Go ahead, Justin.
So for me, I'm not high on the Arizona Cardinals. I've said that before. I'm not a big believer in Kyler Murray. I'm with you in taking the over on the 56, but not by much. My final score was Kansas City 31, Arizona 26. I do think while Arizona's still missing DeAndre Hopkins and they're losing out, Chase Edmonds was a great addition to their offense. He played very well, complimented James Conner a ton last season. Losing him is going to hurt. So, they have to see if there's another back that's going to step up and take that role. I do not believe in Arizona this year, and I think that's going to show us in week 1 that they just don't have enough. And losing DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks, that's going to set them back. And if you don't make an impact then, you're probably not going to make a playoff run. So I got Kansas City winning. I think Kansas City is the elite of the elite. So I think they'll show it week 1.
Real quick, Lucas Neen, the right tackle, is out. So
I'm not that much on the side of John's score of a big blowout. I did write down that I do believe this is going to be a close game, but the only reason I say that is because I believe both offenses, and especially Kyler and Mahomes, are going to have big games. I don't see much resistance on either defense. If I had to pick a better defense, obviously I would pick Kansas City. They're more they have a lot more veterans, a lot more high-end players, but both defenses for me really not much to really write home about.
You're sleeping on that Chiefs defense. The linebackers and Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. Yeah, and George Karlaftis, that's a pretty good defense. That could be top 10. With Spagnuolo?
No, I know Spagnuolo. Trust me, I know Spagnuolo very well. For me, I don't 6 points. Now it's moved up to 6. So it was 4.5 when I wrote this down 2 days ago. Now it's 6 points. I don't think the Chiefs cover that, but I do think they win a close game. I like I said, I smashed that over 53.5 points. I think both offenses are going to be on Sunday. We know Kyler and Cliff usually fade towards the end of the season, and their best moments are in the beginning of the season. I don't count the Cardinals out to win this game because of how good they play early on the season. I know Hopkins is out, but this is usually Kyler and Cliff's moments is early in the season. And like I say, week 1 is really a toss up. Any team can win, but I will put my money on the Chiefs. I will say, you know what? I think the Chiefs are going to not literally put my money on it, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I'm going to say, I think the Chiefs are going to be able to pull out that game. I believe in Andy Reid and I believe in Mahomes. And like John said, Travis Kelsey, I think he's a dark horse for Offensive Player of the Year. He is the vocal point of this offense now. He's going to see a lot more defensive focus. But I think, listen, Rob Gronkowski had to deal with that when he was in his prime. I think Travis Kelce is going to be able to deal with that. I picked the Chiefs to win this game, probably somewhere around like 33, 35, 30, something like that.
How
In that
much
range.
different? How much different is the Kansas City offense going to look this season without Tyreek Hill?
It depends on Sky Moore, I think, because I think they're going to use Sky Moore a lot like they used Tyreek. I don't know. Are we going to finally see Patrick Mahomes, officially become a true traditional quarterback and really focus and hone in on the fundamentals, because that's where Super Bowls are won, in the pocket? Maybe we see him take that step, because I've said this before. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and the guy didn't even really know how to play quarterback, in the traditional sense. You know what I mean? If he learns how to actually, pocket pass, methodically work your way down the field, take what the defense gives you, the big play doesn't always have to be taken every time, that will be scary. Very, very scary.
Well, he can slice you off from the pocket, and he showed that in his de facto rookie year. I will say, you lose some of the big play potential, Justin, of course, because Tyreek's yards with the catch ability is unmatched. Outside maybe Debo Samuel. With that being said, Sky Moore is very good after the catch. I think the Chiefs are going to find ways to get him the ball in the intermediate game. So I don't think this offense will look a whole lot different in the structure, but definitely there is a limited ceiling because Tyreek's a top 6 receiver in the league. And his pre-snap motion stuff as well, with the speed, is really useful.
So yeah, we all have the Chiefs beating the Cardinals. So moving on, we got can't say that anymore, but the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This one also in LA. LA is now fit. I want to see if the odds have changed just in case. Still okay, so LA is still favored by 3 points. Justin, I'm gonna bring it to you. Tell me what you think about this Las Vegas Raiders LA Chargers game. I know you're higher on the Raiders than I think both of us. I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
yeah, honestly, this is probably my favorite game of the week. My favorite game of the week. We get to see what the Chargers are bringing to the table. A lot of people, including yourself, Brandon, have them ranked in the top 5, and some people have them projected to go to an AFC title game like myself, or even get to a Super Bowl. So we're setting out big, big expectations for Justin Herbert, who hasn't played in a playoff game just yet. So this is a big moment for him. And then now on the other side, we see the Raiders, a ton of additions this season. The one big one, Devontae Adams, new head coach Josh McDaniels, a seasoned Super Bowl champion already. So I love what the Raiders are bringing to the table. I think I've said the AFC West is going to be intense, and Week 1 is going to show it. I like the Raiders this week. I think the Raiders are going to surprise a lot of people. J.C. Jackson is out on the outside. There's not too many people that can go one-on-one with Devontae Adams and expect to win. And guess what? If Devontae's covered, you got big Darren Waller that should be wide open for you, or Hunter Renfro running those underneath routes and getting open for you over and over again. I think Derek Carr has the ability to tear up a defense. I love what he brings to the table as a leader, and I'm going with the Raiders. I'm flying with them this year.
So I think I did send in our group chat, Justin, that JC Jackson is out Week 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
But on ESPN it says that he is questionable. So I guess we're just gonna have to really wait and see with that one. But go ahead, John, if you want.
This game is going to be freaking awesome. You have Devontae Adams and Derek Carr reuniting Week 1 against one of the most electric offenses in the Chargers. I think fans are really going to recognize quickly how special that Devontae Carr connection should be. Because, before he was working with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, he was an absolute phenom at Fresno State with Derek. And I think that connection they had that they've only built off of this offseason is going to show out. Those guys are best friends. But then on the other side, you have Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. And that's going to be deadly. Last year, Max Crosby was one of the main reasons why the Chargers missed the playoffs. He was tearing up the Chargers' right tackle. So now you put off of him one of the best edge rushers in the league, who's a step above Yannick Ngakoue. I'm excited to see how they can get to the quarterback, because for the Chargers, they're going to have Zion Johnson making his NFL debut at a Boston College, an offensive lineman who was highly touted, right guard that's going to fill in with his athleticism, his play strength, his versatility. I think day one, much like Rashawn Slater, he's going to be one of the best players at his position. I have a lot of faith in him. And you look at Matt Filer, Corley Lindsley, the only downside, or the only not strong starter, is Trey Pipkins at right tackle. So I'm excited to see what this Chargers offense can do with an even better O-line and Austin Eckler, who last year led the NFL in freaking touchdowns. So I'm excited, man. I think they're going to run the ball a lot more at the Chargers this year than many would expect.
So this game, man, one thing I want to say is I do have these teams splitting both games. So I think right off the bat, I got the Chargers winning this game, and then I have the Raiders winning the game in Las Vegas later on in the year whenever they play. One thing I do expect is Justin Herbert to have three touchdown passing day. He had 3 touchdowns passing in both games against the Raiders last year. I think he replicates that this year. Last year they were also 1-1 with LA winning in LA and vice versa, Vegas winning in Vegas, and I see that happening this year. If JC Jackson does play, I think Adams versus JC is going to be a very interesting matchup. One thing I do have to say on Chandler Jones, right? And everybody's looked at it and said that's a huge signing and whatnot. Name value, yes. Play, questionable. Last year, he had 10.5 sacks, but that number lies to you because week 1 against Tennessee, he had 5 sacks.
That was insane.
The rest of the year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 sacks throughout the rest of the year. Not very impressive. And he had 2 sacks against the terrible Seattle offensive line. We'll see if he still got it like a Von Miller. Maybe he gets a little pressure left off him because of homeboy Max Crosby on the other side, kind of like an AD and Von Miller setup where Crosby gets a lot more attention and Chandler's able to work one-on-one matchups. But yeah, this game I have the Chargers winning. I love the talent on the team. On paper, they are the better team. On paper, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I know one drawback John has especially had is Brandon Staley. He's a question mark for me. I don't really know what he is, honestly. But I'm gonna put my belief in, in Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, listen, this guy is rated by a lot of people, and me included, as a top 10 quarterback in this league. His first 3 seasons, he hasn't even made the playoffs. So it's time to produce, or we're gonna have to. Oh, he hasn't put. Okay. Listen, it's time. Time to show up, or people are gonna start talking like, is it just talent, or does that talent equal winning? That's gonna
It
be a
definitely
question.
does. I think he's a top 6 or 7 quarterback. I have him above Stafford, which I know you wouldn't be going that high. Okay. I don't think most people think that's crazy.
Yeah, but they're smoking crack as well. But okay. So, anybody have any more to say? Or are we moving on to
What are your game scores?
I didn't really pick this one. I could see it being another high 20s game, a shootout. To be honest with you, yeah, I don't have a score off the top of my head. To be honest with you,
Oh, 31-28 Raiders.
something around there. Yeah.
I have the Raiders. I didn't say who I had winning. I have Vegas stealing this one, 31-24.
124. Okay. Yep. I could see the score being around that range. All right. Next up, Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Green Bay is favored by 1.5. The last time these teams played in week 1 was 2020, and that was also in Minnesota. Green Bay won 43-34. John, I know you're high on the Vikings. Did they steal one in Green Bay?
I'm high on the Vikings, but I'm even higher on the Packers. And this is the week that they're going to steal one, especially against the Packers, that they can make this a competitive affair. But I do want to note some of the Packers' star players and overall starters that are coming back from injury that were out for the better part of last year. David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, who tore his ACL midseason, and Jair Alexander, a top 5, top 7 corner in the league. So I think the Packers this year are being heavily underrated just because those three guys, Bakhtiari is questionable for this one, are absolute game changers. And on the offensive line, to lose both your tackles is a crushing blow. Now you get both of them back. So I'm excited, man. I think Aaron Rodgers got more time in the pocket. And against this Vikings defense, L'Jarius Smith was not healthy, played one game for the Pack last year. He has to actually stay healthy for the Vikings to have a competitive and quality defense. And I'm not sold on that. So I think Rodgers is going to have all the time. They have a young, inexperienced secondary with Louis Sign and Andrew Booth. Patrick Peterson, I think his best days are long behind him. So I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to make a big time connection, whether it's with Romeo Doubs as their X receiver, or not Alan Lazard, but Christian Watson as that Y. Green Bay's receiving core in a way is underrated because there's the upside to have a number 1 and a number 2 there with proven veterans in Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins. So I'm excited for the Packers, and I got them winning this one 33-25. For a weird exact score.
But no, I like the Vikings this week. I think this is a big game for them. This is a big show out game. They're in Minnesota. You're in your home field. If there's any time to steal one from Green Bay, it's now. Because looking at the division, this is your real competition. This is who you're fighting up against. So you have to steal this one. And I think they do. Ultimately, I think they end up splitting the season series. But I like the Vikings here. I think their offense is explosive. You add Thielen, you have Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, obviously, and they're all monsters over there. And it's just a matter of Kirk Cousins getting everything right and not throwing his team into mistakes or his team letting him down. But I guess the key right now is they could put up points to just about anybody. So I guess the offense really isn't the concern, but it is the defense, like John mentioned. This Vikings defense is probably going to get torn up this year. And the only thing that's going to be their saving grace is going to be them being able to put up points. So I think they hold off the Green Bay Packers today. I mean, on Sunday, and I'll give them the win 23-20. I don't think Green Bay puts up a lot of points. I still think they'll be figuring out a lot of things with their offense. You can hear great things about them in camp, but camp really doesn't mean anything until you see it on the field in game time. So I don't know if I believe in a receiving core highlighted by Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins. Robert Tunyon's questionable for this game as well. So we don't know the exact firepower that they're going to have. Are they going to lean more on their run game, the Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon combo, or is Christian Watson or any of these young receivers that they have going to step up? It remains to be seen. So I still remain questionable on Green Bay. I'm going to roll with Minnesota in week 1.
So, like I said about the other games, the little milestones to watch this year. Justin Jefferson is at 3,016 yards. He needs 1,148 receiving yards to set the NFL record for most yards in a player's first 3 seasons, beating Hall of Famer Randy Moss's 4,163 receiving yards. And the Green Bay Packers, this is going to be so easy. The Packers, who are at 782 wins in a team history, need 2 more wins than the Bears, who are at 783 wins in 2022 to become the winningest team in NFL history. I think we can all bank that is going to guarantee happen. So, and like Justin said towards the end about the Vikings defense, Mike Zimmer's gone, and he was really the only thing keeping that defense, somewhat respectable, if you want to say. I forget who the new head coach is.
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell, and he's the offensive guy, right?
Yeah, from Los Angeles.
Sean
McVay's guy is going to be
Sean
bringing
McVay. Okay.
that offense over.
Yeah. So they're bringing. Listen, I don't really think offense was the problem here. I think their defense was the problem. I mean, I don't know. They're going full in on the offense. Kirk Cousins is not the long-term answer. He's never been the long-term answer in Minnesota. Um, I, I do, I can see Minnesota stealing this game just because Rodgers has had some week one blunders before. Last year we saw against New Orleans, they got completely blown out. In 2014 versus Seattle, they lost. That was the famous game where Aaron Rodgers decided not to throw to Richard Sherman's side. In 2013 and 2014, he lost to San Francisco week one. Um, I'm not saying it's his fault they lost. I'm just saying the Green Bay Packers, while he's been quarterback, have lost some games week one. I think Minnesota can steal this game. If you put a gun to my head, I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers because I just believe in them more. I think they have the better defense. I think Aaron Rodgers is obviously the better quarterback. Um, I think he's going to figure out the receiving issues. John said the offensive line is healthy this year. They still have Aaron Jones in the backfield and AJ Dillon, who John's very high on. I do think this is a close game. Probably maybe it comes down to a Mason Crosby field goal, but I'm going to put my faith in Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to get things kicked off good this season and win in Minnesota.
Real quick, the problem last year in Minnesota was that secondary, especially around Harrison Smith. And while they added a lot to that, stocking up big time through the draft, I have no concern over Rodgers ripping them up in week one. I'm going to go he has 400 passing. Okay, that's a little bit. There's no Devontae. I'll go he has 340. I think those two running backs, they're going to utilize them heavily, especially in the receiving game. So I think he's going to work the ball around. He's going to have more time in the pocket. And I'm still not ready yet with this Vikings defense. We're going to have to see. But Justin Jefferson, man, I want to say real quick, he's maybe the best receiver in football.
340 for Aaron Rodgers in week one. That's your bold prediction for this week?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's the most talented quarterback in the league and easily top three. Why can't he?
All right, so that game's done. Now let's get on to the games that hit home for Brandon. Shake and bake time. He's returning, not really returning, but he's facing his team that spit on him, slapped him in the face, threw him to the side, told him he wasn't worth a damn, said, we want a mature quarterback in the room. You're not mature enough. You're not good enough. You're the reason we lost. Yada, 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 yada. Had to take less money to get the hell out of Cleveland, go to Carolina, who people before the season even started were ranking the 32nd, the worst team in the NFL. People were ranking them as that. Now Baker solidified as the starter, which should have been right when he walked into those doors. He should have been called the starter for the Carolina Panthers because Sam Darnold is not even on his level. They are now favored by 2.5. There's been reports, right, that Baker has said, I know we've all seen it, I'm going to F them up. Now, he did deny those reports. Am I going to say he's lying? I'm going to say he's telling half truth because I do believe Baker would say some type of stuff like that. And I do believe he said something along the lines of that, maybe not exactly that. Stephen A has said he possibly said it off record and the reporter didn't pick up on that. And he kind of reported. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Cynthia Freeland. I don't know. I don't believe he said it.
You don't believe he said it?
I believe he thinks it for sure. I can tell you that for him.
You don't. So you think she made it up, or do you think he said it off record and she reported it?
The more I think about it, I do agree with you. I think it was said off record. And
Off record, and she just reported. Yeah, and that's happened before. You know, they don't specify. You got to specify with these reporters, especially the low level reporters. You know, I mean, Stephen A has a rule that listen, you tell me something off record, it's going to stay off record. I'm not going to say it. And he always makes sure he specifies. You want this is off record, right? As a reporter, journalistic integrity is very important. And I do believe John. Yes, he 100% believes that Baker Mayfield. I mean, I was reading something on Baker. We remember in 2018 when he played the Cincinnati Bengals and Hugh Jackson was coaching for them at the time. He stared him down the entire pregame. just stared Hugh Jackson down, said, you're the one that said, nah, we're not going to you're the number 1 overall pick. Nah, you're going to be a backup to Tyrod Taylor. All right. Respect, Hugh Jackson. So when I come into this game, I've said, listen, Carolina Panthers are going to have a big year because Baker's there. And you guys have said Baker can have a good year, but Carolina can be bad. Yeah, I agree with that. That can be true, but Baker's a freaking winner. Baker's play is indicative of winning, not the other way like some of these other talented quarterbacks that show talent and promise, but their win is not there. CMC is healthy for this game, okay? I'm not talking about the whole regular season like John likes to say, predict injuries, but he's healthy for week 1. DJ is there. He's a legit number 1. You got Robbie Anderson, who's 6'3" and can freaking fly. Rashad Higgins from Cleveland, who he loved. Chuba Hubbard backing up CMC. The offensive line has a lot of rework. They brought in Corbett from the Rams. They drafted a left tackle. They've done some work there. Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback. Deshaun Watson is not the quarterback. I expect Carolina to win this by 10 games. 10 games. 10 points. I'm sorry. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Baker, but 10 points. I think Jacoby coughs up a pick, maybe 2. I think Baker has a huge game. I think he can get to possibly close to 300 yards. I think he could probably get 3 touchdowns, whether that's 2 through the air, 1 through the ground, or 3 through the air. He looked freaking phenomenal in the preseason. And I know it's preseason, but he looked healthy is what I mean. The arm looked right. The footwork looked good. He looked like he was confident again being in that pocket. My boy Baker is going to put you guys through a long, and I mean a long season. Justin, I'm already laughing to the bank on that bet. John, if you want to take Cleveland this week, let's go right ahead, head to head, because Shake and Bake is back. He released the t-shirts off the leash. Baker, let's go.
I don't think any of us believe that the Browns actually have a chance this week. Am I right, John? Unless you got a surprise to pull out of the hat.
Why is that though? Why do they not have a chance though? Because if Sam Darnold was playing, would we say Cleveland has a chance, right?
Yes.
Okay,
but that's because I feel like the quarterback would throw them into danger. I feel like Baker won't do that. I'm big on Baker on Sunday. I think he will have a 3-touchdown performance. I think he's going to stick it to his old team. But most of all, I just don't think Cleveland has the offensive firepower to even beat this defense. J.C. Horn, Dante Jackson there locking up. Whoever's going to be out there at wide receiver for the Browns, man, anybody out there doesn't stand a chance against any of those two. I think they got a very talented defense. Brian Burns is an absolute stud. So, and you add Henry Anderson too from New England, a former Patriot. Very good defensive piece there. I like what the Panthers have going into this Sunday. I'm sticking by my bet. So you could laugh all that you want, but at the end, I might have the last laugh. But all that matters is this Sunday. I do think DJ Moore is legit number 1. It's left to be seen what we're going to see out of Robbie Anderson after last year. But I would love to really see Terrence Marshall get some burn, man. That guy out of LSU, he's a big time threat. If he just finds his own and Baker can feed him the football, I'd love to see what he has in store, and if he's talented enough to take another step. Because who's the legit number 3 on that team, you know? So we got to fit. That's left to be seen. But CMC's healthy, Hubbard's there. I think Carolina's going to take this one to the bank, and they'll be celebrating. And I think they're going to blow out the Browns. I don't think it's going to be very fair.
So I want to talk about Baker. He tweaked his throwing motion this summer after undergoing shoulder surgery on his torn left labrum in January. I'm going to be honest, I'm excited. Now, I'm not overly enthusiastic about his merchandise per se, but I said this before. Baker, throughout his entire football career, has stepped up in those moments where everyone counts him out. Maybe he's a little bit disrespected. Last year, so many Browns fans were saying, this guy stinks. They're turning their back on him. The franchise turns their back on him. Bram, I'm sure you've mentioned this before. I'm not sure if it did so far yet. The Browns said they want a mature leader on their quarterback, right? Which is pretty fascinating. Nonetheless, it's a young front office with Andrew Berry. I'll cut him some slack, but I do think Baker Mayfield. You can't say there's no animosity coming into this game. He's saying to himself, "I came to this franchise that won a total of 0 games coming into my rookie season, and my first year with the team, I win Rookie of the Year. We win 6 games. My second year, my coach is Freddie Kitchens. That should say enough. Third year, I bring this team to the playoffs, and my fourth year, week 2." I go down and I play through an injury and we missed the playoffs. But I was giving you guys everything I had wearing my heart on my sleeve. So I think in Carolina, him and Rashard Higgins are going to have a big time connection in this game. I could see that happening in the first quarter. If not, him and DJ Moore will. I'm expecting at least one of those guys to have a TD. Now, this Browns defense also has freaking Myles Garrett on the other side. And I am sure Garrett is excited to hit that man after he couldn't every day in practice. And they have Denzel Ward in the secondary. Greg Newsome going to his second season. I talked before about JOK at linebacker. This Browns defense is nothing to bat an eye at. This is a good Browns defense. I don't know where I was going with the bat an eye thing. The secondary should be much improved with a healthy Grant Delpit, Sean Johnson as well. So, I mean, I didn't even mention Javanian Clowney on the other side. So, I don't think it's going to come easy for Baker in this game, but I'm expecting him to really show out. And they're going to win their second straight revenge game after they beat the Jets week 1 last year.
Yeah, one thing I want to say on the Browns defense, while they are good and have talent, they have never been the same or as good as they were when Homeboy was coaching them, Bounty Gate guy.
Greg Williams.
Never should have let him go. That defense played with an edge when he was there. They haven't played with that type of edge since he left. But yeah, listen, oh my God. When John was speaking right there, it was just like music to my ears. I was like, oh, this is wonderful. This is like eating a bowl of ice cream on a nice warm day. He's just hitting everything, and I love it. Beautiful, John. How easy it is to see where I see things. You know what I mean? How easy it is. It's just a wonderful side to see. Baker Mayfield. I'm sure you're going to have some things to say, maybe even off camera or throughout the season, but we're going to have some. It's going to be a fun season with Baker when he makes the playoffs. So moving on to our second to last game, I believe we're going to cover, and I want to kick off with Justin because it's our team, who he's not very high on. The New England Patriots face the Miami Dolphins in Miami. Miami is favored by 3.5 now. That went up from 3. New England unprecedentedly, whatever the hell you want to call it. They decided to go to Miami 5 days before the game. Nobody's really ever seen that before. But I think we all understand that their Bill is trying to get them ready for the heat that they're going to have to deal with, because that's always something that throws you off when you're so used to cold weather and you go down there and it's freaking humid and hot and it's just, listen, if you're used to the cold and you start getting hit with those heat waves, it is not fun. As a New England boy, it's not fun. So Justin, tell me your thoughts on this Patriots Dolphins game, where the Dolphins have really, kind of stuck it to us over the last couple of years or decade, whatever you want to call it.
I wanted to pull up this stat on Tua's record against the New England Patriots since he's been in the league.
I think he's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken.
Undefeated, am I right?
I think so.
Yeah. I think that comes to an end this Sunday.
Oh.
I really do. I think it comes to an end. I think New England hasn't had the best of luck playing in Miami, but I love the idea of going to Miami 5 days before, getting prepped to deal with this heat. I already checked the weather. It's supposed to be 89. There's rain in the forecast for Florida every damn day. So I'm sure there'll be some sun. I'm sure it'll be hot. These guys are going to have to really stomach this one out. It's going to be a dogfight. Going into Miami is never easy. Mac Jones, the last time he played there, it was a rough one. Nothing was clean. Nothing. It was I don't remember the exact score. Maybe Brandon, you remember that game more than I do. But it was definitely a sloppy game the last time we played in Miami last year.
Week 1?
Was
no,
it
that was
one?
in New England. No, Yeah, I
It was
forget which
later
one.
in
I
the
think that was
season.
at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the
Yeah.
end of the year. It was a
Yeah, we
very
didn't play
sloppy
well.
football game, and that we need to really reinvent ourselves in this one. I do think we come out with the win. I think Mac Jones will never throw us into trouble. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks, even going into a second year, one of the more smartest quarterbacks in the year in the league. And I love what we have, man. I want to see what Tyquan Thornton has to offer. He's not going to be out there, but Devontae Parker, he's going to have to develop. This is a revenge game for him too. You know, he wants to take it out on Miami. So he had one season where he had over 1,000 yards, really looked like he was developing into something. And then since then, we haven't seen anything. I think the New England defense has their hands filled with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, and whoever's going to be coming out of the backfield for Miami, whether it be Mostert, Chase Edmonds. I don't know who will be out there, but overall, I think New England finds a way to pull one out. I think Bill Belichick, obviously smartest coach in the league. I think with all this time in Miami, there's more time to prepare for this team. This whole time we've been in training camp preparing for this one game. I think New England comes out and shows the world, hey, even with our Matt Patricia or Joe Judge as our offensive coordinator, we could still squeeze one out here. And I think they ultimately do.
So I'm gonna go before you, John, because I got something to say about my Patriots and this Miami Dolphins game. So last year, week 1, we played the Miami Dolphins. It was in New England, but nonetheless, it was Mac's first game in the NFL in the regular season where a game actually counted. The final score was 17-16. All right. And I believe we played Miami the year before too, when Cam was our starting quarterback, and we were also one play away from winning the game. And that's what I'm about to get into. Mac had a QBR of 78.1. That's pretty freaking phenomenal for a rookie in his first game. 29 of 39 for 281 yards, a touchdown, only sacked once. Tua had a QBR of 45, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked twice. He also ran for a touchdown. The reason we lost that game, and I remember vividly because it was a heartbreaker, we had 2 costly fumbles in that game. One early on by Damian Harris, one early on by Ramondre Stevenson in the first quarter. Then after a Jonathan Jones interception in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left, Matt converts a 3rd and 6 to Myers for 7 yards, then hands off 4 times for 17 yards. Then on 2nd and 5, from Miami's 22, he completes an 11-yard pass to Jonnu. 1st and 10 at the 11, Damian Harris is stripped by Xavier Howard. Miami recovers, and they run out the clock with 3 minutes left. You're telling me right now, if Damian Harris doesn't fumble, because that was very unlike Damian Harris, he doesn't really fumble that much. If he doesn't fumble in that final sequence, we punch it in and we score a touchdown right there. The game goes to, so it was 16-17. Let's just say they score 7, 23-17. Miami needs a field goal. Let's say there's about 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. Maybe we're at the 2-minute warning when Tua and Miami get the ball. I don't have faith that Tua goes down the field, drives on a Bill Belichick defense, and scores a game-winning touchdown on them. I don't believe that for a second. I don't see us having the same type of blunders we did last year. Mac is going to step up this year. The running game, Ramondre and Damian especially, are going to understand we had a crap game last year. We are going to show up this year. The ball will not hit the ground by those 2 men. And it better not, or you're going to be in the doghouse. I'm putting my faith in Belichick. Listen, I tried to find a stat on Bill Belichick versus rookie head coaches. I couldn't find anything. I wish I could have found that stat. I would imagine Bill probably has a better record, has a positive record over rookie head coaches. Like Justin said, I think this undefeated streak that Tua has on us is going to come to a crashing end because Tua hasn't played well against us, really. I mean, in that last week game that you talked about, Justin, Tua went 15 for 22, 109 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, sacked once. He wasn't the reason they won that game.
In every game against Tua, we've beaten ourselves.
Yeah, he's going to be the reason they lose this game this time. I believe that. I think our DBs match up pretty well with Miami's receiver core in terms of speed, not in terms of talent, obviously, right? but I think Jonathan Jones can run with Tyreek Hill. He's a 4-3 guy. And I'm just going to put our faith in Bill Judon. I expect to have a huge game. Listen, man, we need to. This is a must-win game, and for week. And I know it's week one. The season hasn't even started, but Bill needs to win this game for the fans, for himself, for the team morale. We need to beat Miami in Miami. It needs to happen. Go ahead, John.
It doesn't happen often with Belichick. He's 9-13 in Miami. So what do you guys think he's doing? You think he's locking the players in the hotel and just blasting the heat all the way up?
Well,
Because
here's
they
the
had some
thing: is
summer
that
heat waves.
actually,
in England.
I was listening to Skip and Shannon before we started, and in the CBA, you're not allowed to have you're not allowed to basically lock your players in their room and not tell them to go out. But listen, Bill Belichick understands this. If you think Bill Belichick sat a player in the Super Bowl, his second, probably arguably one of his best defenders in that game, and Malcolm Butler, who played the most defensive snaps for the regular season, he sat him for the whole game in a Super Bowl for a reason we still don't know. If you don't think your ass is going to get benched if you go out and mess around for these 5 days, you're out of your mind. Bill Belichick ain't taking that crap. Stay in the apartment, put on Netflix or whatever, play some video games, get your sleep, work out, football on your mind. I don't understand these athletes that can't handle the pressure of being in Miami and the glitz and glamour, going to the strip club and stuff. But you're a professional athlete getting paid millions of dollars. Be a goddamn professional.
Well, I don't think they'll be flicking up men in the hotel. I think they'll be watching some Tua film. Now, I couldn't find that stat you're talking about with Belichick first rookie head coaches, only for rookie quarterbacks, in which a couple of Jet rookies beat him, Gino and Mark Sanchez. But I got the Dolphins winning this game. Tyreek Hill is going to come in, and I'm expecting Mike McDaniel to use him the way they did Deebo Samuel. And when he had the level of playmaking his Miami offense has, and a healthy Teron Armstead at left tackle, and Connor Williams coming in from Dallas, I think this Dolphins team is going to excite people. And after this week, when the Dolphins start off 1-0, I think some people will be looking at them a lot more highly than they maybe should. But I really do think that connection between Jalen Waddle and Tua to go along with Tyreek is going to stand out. For a Patriots defense that is losing J.C. Jackson and is going through a new state where they're turning the roster over, in week one, I'm not expecting them to have it all together. Maybe toward the end of the season they will, but this is a new era in New England, and though Belichick is the greatest coach in NFL history, I don't think that means they're going to be ready to go and completely. I don't think they'll be ready to go week one.
So anybody got? Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, one of my concerns, Tyreek Hill going into this game is such a big threat to New England. I remember games, I have the stats right here. His first 2 career games against New England. Number 1, 7 catches for 133 yards and a touchdown. The second game, 7 catches for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns. The last 2 ones, it's went down. He's only had 62 and 64 yards, but he still manages to find the end zone. So Tyreek Hill has caused the Patriots some problems. And then you tag in Jalen Waddle on the other side. That's a very dangerous speed threat. So my only concern, while I still do have New England coming out with this win here, I don't think it'll be by a large margin. This game will be tough. This game will be tight. I see New England winning. I don't think this game even gets into the 20s. I think 17-14.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around there, like 2017, 2015.
I got Miami 24-18. No, they're not getting a safety and 2 field goals. 24-20. I'm not betting on this game. I'm not betting on a week 1 game.
God. All right. Let's move on to our pick'em. We're gonna do this. We're gonna keep track for the entire year of the NFL season. We are going to pick the rest of those the games this year for this week. We're not going to go really in depth, maybe say a couple words on each game, and we're going to see who has the best record each week. And when we get to the end of the regular season, who's the best pick'em guy here is what we're going to go for, the pick'em champion of Wise Guys.
And we're going to I'm going to leave the link for any followers that may want to join. I'm not sure if they can once the year actually starts after Thursday night. If any subs can, be sure to do, so you can come with us, you can beat us, you can lose to us, either way, it'll be a lot of fun. And if you can't, we're going to be updating it each and every single week going through it.
All right. So, um, I actually just popped in my hand. This could be for the wisest of the wise guys. All right, so I'll kick us off. We'll start with we've already picked those games, so we won't worry about those. So New Orleans versus Atlanta in New Orleans. New Orleans is favored by -5.5. I'm gonna go New Orleans. It's in New Orleans. They're, when they're home in that Superdome, it gets loud, it gets raucous. Atlanta, new quarterback. Don't believe in Marcus Mariota. I got New Orleans. New Orleans.
I thought the game was in Atlanta.
Is it in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think so.
It is in Atlanta.
Atlanta. Still, you know what? Doesn't change my mind. I still think the Saints are going to win because of all the points minus the home crowd.
I think the Saints offense is too much for Atlanta's defense to handle. We have Chris Olave, Kamara's going to play week 1, MT come, and then the most exciting thing about this game is you're going to have the former number 1 overall pick and the number 2 pick from the 2015 draft going head to head, and Mariota and Jameis Winston. So I'm expecting Winston to get the better of him. I'll go New Orleans 24-17.
Oh, that's actually closer than I initially expected. I'm excited for this one. I love that. I'm with you. I think the Saints offense is way more powerful than what the Atlanta defense can handle. If Michael Thomas is actually out on the field, I'm really hoping to see him out there. Tag that with Kamara being healthy. I think the Saints actually roll away with this one. I think the Saints blow them out 31-14.
Woo! Okay. Next up, we got the 49ers in Chicago taking on the Bears. The San Francisco 49ers are favored by 7 points. I think we all can agree the 49ers are going to beat the crap out of the Chicago Bears in Chicago. George Kittle did pull his groin earlier this week in practice. He's questionable. I still don't think that makes a big case. I don't think San Francisco walks into Chicago and beats them.
Yeah, this won't be a close affair at all. I'm expecting the 49ers with my multiple scores. My question for you guys is, after you go, Trey Lance or Justin Fields?
Who has a better game?
Who has the better season? I'll go. No, we know it's not the better
Trey
season.
Lance,
Who's gonna have the better career?
I'd say Trey Lance. It's tough to say that Justin Fields is going to have a better career as long as he's there in Chicago. Until something changes, it's tough for me to change that pick.
I think Trey Lance is in the better situation, but right now, I don't know what Trey Lance really is, so I have to wait and see. But yeah.
And let's not knock Justin Fields too much because he had a very good preseason. But going into week 1, I got San Francisco winning by a final score of 26-17. I don't think they're going to blow them the hell out. I still think Trey Lance will have some growing pains too. But I expect this to be a big Elijah Mitchell game.
All right, next up, John's game of the week. I would imagine he's going to be keeping a close eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. My AFC favorites this year. Deontay Johnson is questionable. Most likely will probably suit up. Cincinnati is favored by 6.5. I'm going to take Cincinnati. I think it's going to be closer. I don't think Cincinnati covers, but I got Cincinnati in a close game.
I have no idea how we're gonna guard Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I mean, last year the 50-50 plays those guys can make against a secondary that has Cam Sutton's a good corner, but he's 5'10". He's my size. And if you line me up against Jamar Chase, obviously I'm not as smart as Cam Sutton. He's one of the most tactical defensive backs in the league, and he's a talented player. But when Joe Burrow tosses it up with the offensive line, improving as much as it is, buying him a little extra time in the pocket, and then you have T. Higgins off of Jamar on the other side of the field, and Tyler Boyd in the slot, and the guy who led the team in yards last year, and Joe Mixon, who's going to have a better run support with the offensive line. I had the Steelers. I do think this will be a close game. I think the Steelers lose by. Actually, no. I think I had the Bengals. It was 6.5 minus 6.5, right? I had the Bengals covering that. Mitch Trubisky's going back to Ohio. I mean, good luck to our secondary.
Damn, man. You sound so sad saying that. But I'm gonna roll with your boys. I'm going with Pittsburgh week 1. This is one of my early upsets. Week 1 is the biggest toss-up, as Brandon has said multiple times. I think going into Cincinnati, they're high off of an AFC championship. There's no better time for a rival, especially, to come in and rain on their parade. And I think Pittsburgh does exactly that.
So next up, talking about upsets, Justin, I think this is my upset of the week. You got the Philadelphia Eagles walking into Detroit territory against the Lions. Motor City, Dan Campbell. Philadelphia is favored by 4 points. I'm going to be honest, man. I'm taking Chicago. Chicago, Detroit in this game. I think, I've said leading up, I love what Dan Campbell is doing in Detroit. Week one, like Justin just got finished saying, you'll hear me. I'm a broken record. Week one's the toss-up week. I think Detroit can take a dub off Philly in Detroit, especially. That helps a lot. It'll be close, but I think I'm going to take Detroit.
You guys are talking about Dan Campbell for Coach of the Year. This is where the hype begins. I had the Lions punching the Eagles in the mouth in week one. They're going to take a commanding victory, and it is an upset, but I really do think with the amount of talent and the offensive line being healthy this year, the Lions are going to be a competitive team.
Same here, but I want to highlight a specific player. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that guy is going to really show the world that he can be an elite receiver. The way he ended the season last year and from week 13 and on, I'm a big fantasy football fan. He was a fantasy stud. But not only that, he kept the Lions very competitive, made them look like a competent offense towards the end of the season. And I think they got better this offseason. Another year with MCDC. I really believe that the Lions upset Philadelphia, and I'll put a final score of 21-20 because every Lions game is close. It's never a blowout.
So this will be interesting when we get to that game. But next up, Baltimore in New York against the Jets. Baltimore is favored by 7 points. We've got the contract negotiations still going on. The deadline is tomorrow. I think Baltimore walks in there and beats the daylights out of the Jets. Zach Wilson's out until week 4 now. Joe Flacco's going to be starting first 4 weeks.
Talk about revenge games, though. I mean, Joe Flacco's team looking to write his Kurt Warner comeback story.
Yeah, I think Joe Flacco's going to have a tough day. Baltimore's winning. I think there's a good chance they cover that 7 points too.
I might be a little extreme on this one. I really have this being a beatdown, but it won't even be nice. I got Baltimore winning by a score of 45-13.
As much as I want to go with the Jets and to see Joe Flacco beat Lamar Jackson, the quarterback who took his job, I also had the Jets getting beat down 31-12.
The 45 may not be exact, but I really do see Baltimore putting a 40-piece on the Jets in opening week.
Wouldn't it be a great look for Robert Saleh and his defense after investing all of that draft capital into the defense?
Another thing to look out for that game, last thing, Sauce Gardner never allowed a touchdown in college, didn't allow a touchdown in preseason, didn't even get targeted. We'll see. Does he give up his first touchdown in his career? Next up, so this was going to be the interesting one because right now we have Dallas losing, we have Philly losing. I think we're all going to agree that the Giants are going to lose to Tennessee, but we'll get to that. Does Washington start off 1-0 and week 1, they're the number 1 team in the NFC East against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're in Washington. Washington's favored by 2.5. I do believe Jacksonville has a chance to steal this game, but I'm going to take Washington in this game in a close game. What say you guys?
As a sports fan, I love chaos, and I believe week 1 is going to be filled with it. I got Jacksonville going into Washington and starting the season off hot. T-Law is going to have a game, 3 touchdown performance, 300 yards.
I think Chase Young is out, so helps in his favor.
I had the Commanders taking this one out at home. To be honest, I think this is one of the games where Trevor Lawrence takes it for himself. I think week 1 is going to come out, and the entire NFC East is going to start off defeated as Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne had themselves a day in Washington. So, yeah, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, on to what I believe is the worst team in NFL today. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the Houston Texans in Houston. Indy is favored by 7 points. I believe they cover. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to run all over Houston. I think Matt Ryan has a good day. I think Michael Pittman has a big day. I see no chance Houston beats Indianapolis in week 1.
I do want to say you had the Texans going 0-17 this year. They may not be a good football team. I said there's no way they're that bad. There's no way that they have that bad of luck. It takes so much poor luck to go defeated. The Lions last year started off 0-10-1, but they ended the season 3-3. And I think even if you are a horrible football team, unless you're the 2016 Browns or the 2008 Lions, where you become, I mean, Jason McCourty was talking about this in a podcast, where you become so selfish because you know you're not going to be back. You know, you don't want to do this again, not win a game. I really have a hard time seeing the Texans lose more than like, I think they're going to win 3 or 4 games this year. And I do think that you're being disrespectful to them, man. I think they're actually going to give the Colts a good fight with this defense they're building, though I had the Colts winning.
It's a divisional game, so I'm not going to crap on Houston here. I got Indy going out there winning 28-23. I think Davis Mills shows that he's a competent quarterback. He's going to bounce back well off a very good rookie season. While I don't think the team around him is ready for success, I do think they have a good quarterback in place. Indy, 28-23.
Yeah. So rounding off Sunday football, it has to be interesting. The NFC East is going to start all of them 0-1 because the New York Giants are walking into Tennessee. While I'm not high on Tennessee, and I see regression this year. They're favored by 5.5. They're not losing to the bottom feeders of the New York Giants. I think Derrick Henry probably has a big day. Yeah, I just see Tennessee winning this game. So NFC East, sorry, 0-4 basically.
John, you got anything for that?
Yeah, the Titans are winning. Move on.
I actually got the Giants.
Oh my God, no, he doesn't.
That's why I was like, let me just save myself for last on this one. Yeah, I got the Giants, man. I think I'm expecting a big day out of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. I think they'll be throwing the ball. I think Daniel Jones has a good connection with Kenny G. Galladay finds the end zone. I think if the Giants are good and healthy and rolling through it this one, they will find a way to win this game. I'm low on Tennessee this year, and I will stand by that. I really do think the Giants find a way to win this game. I'll go 27-24. Giants win on a walk-off field goal.
Giants are going to put up 27.
Walk-off
Okay.
field goal, man.
Sounds like that Saints game from last year that they won.
All right. Yeah. All right. So let's round off week 1 of the NFL season. Monday Night Football. Russ is back in Seattle. Another revenge game. The Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks. Denver is favored by 6.5. This is on ABC and ESPN, so you can catch it on either one. Monday Night Football. I see no way Seattle beating Denver. I know, there could be close games because the revenge games, but I see Russell walking in there and just putting on an absolute show.
This should be a snooze fest. When you go from a top 7 quarterback to the worst starter in the NFL, and Pete Carroll, for as legendary a coach as he is, has a system that's outdated, the only thing the Seahawks really have going for them is some offensive line improvement and a stout rushing attack. But I just see not a very good season for DK Metcalf, and I think he and Tyler Lockett will both have under 1,000 yards given the quarterback play. And outside Quadre Diggs and Jamal Adams, Jordan Brooks at linebacker, that Seahawks defense not very good either. So I think Russell throws 4 touchdowns, 350 yards, and a W in week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. This is a Denver game all the way. But I like to look at this one kind of like Peyton Manning. I remember week 1 of 2013 when he threw 7 touchdowns. I see it being kind of similar. Not 7 touchdowns, but I could see him throw 5. I think he absolutely destroys Seattle, and Seattle fans are going to go home crying. Like, what did we just give up?
Gave up everything. That just reminded me of the end game quote of what did you have to give up? Everything. But yeah, that wraps up our week 1 predictions of the NFL season. It is finally upon us, guys. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. Tonight we get to watch game 1 of the NFL season. Thank God football is back. I guess that's it for our week 1 predictions. Do you guys have anything to say that's not football related at the end of the show, or we?
This is our last Sunday without football till February, so let's enjoy it while we have it.
Enjoy it while we got it. I do want to just quickly say there is a UFC pay-per-view this Saturday. I won't break it down right now, but I think if you guys are fans of it, tune in. You got Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez at a catchweight. That'll be a fun fight. Kevin Holland, they call him Big Mouth. He loves to talk during fights. He loves to talk crap. He's very highly entertaining and a very good fighter. In the co-main event, you got Tony Ferguson, one of my favorite fighters. He's just a wild guy versus Li Jingliang. Tony's moving up to welterweight. He's on a fight skid, a 4 losing fight skid. I think Tony is going to be able to get back on track here, and I'm really hoping because Tony Ferguson was one of the most dominant lightweights in history when he was going. And in the main event, we have Hamzat Chimaev. I call him Zat Daddy. This guy's the beast. He might be the next one. He's taking on Nate Diaz, the returning Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz in his final fight on the UFC contract. They're talking that this can be it for him in the UFC for the time being because he might go fight Jake Paul next year. Hamzat is a minus 1,000 favorite. Nate Diaz is plus 650. I tweeted this when this fight got announced. This is either going to be one of the greatest fights of all time, or this is going to be a massacre. I'm leaning towards more of a massacre. I feel so bad for Nate Diaz. I really hope I don't watch a massacre because I love Nate Diaz. Everybody loves Nate Diaz. He's one of the most entertaining and biggest box office stars in the sport. I'll be tuning in, and I'm just hoping Nate Diaz is, we get a great fight. But John, you got anything to say? We're not related to football, or we're good? Okay. So that was episode 24. Again, thank you for joining us. Give us a like, subscribe, comment. We love the interaction. Give us your predictions on week 1. What do you think? Are we crazy? Is Brandon going a little too far with the Baker love? I love the heat. I love the intensity. Bring it to me. John is low on his Steelers fan. Cheer him up a little bit. Give him some more positivity. New England fans, talk to this man, Justin, right here about our New England Patriots and stop being so down on us. God, I hate when he brings up the Bills. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a great episode. Can't wait to recap the games with you guys next week. Enjoy football. And until next time, Justin, tell us.
Stay classy.
Boom.